Oh, hi everybody, it's me, Power Rangers Red, aka Dwayne here. And I haven't made a video in some time after the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers VHS video. Okay, today I'm using the Disney logo, but I could find the Siobhan logo if I wanted to. Now, if I wanted to. Okay, this is going to be talking about the 20th anniversary of the Power Rangers and just my little, my take on this whole thing. Now, many people wouldn't have thought that the Power Rangers would have been around for 20 years. Okay. Now, if you talk to some people who remember when the Power Ranger first came out, and there are a lot of people who do, some people would have said it would not lasted as long as they thought it would. I don't think anybody would think it was going to be 20 years. Um, Back when Siobhan first got the agreement from Toei for, costumes and stock footage and all kinds of other stuff, I don't even think that Siobhan, then Disney, would not, and then Siobhan, I don't think the two of them would think that the Power Rangers would have been celebrating 20 years. Now, you take a show that probably a lot of people didn't really know how it got popular, but I can kind of give you my little thing. You took a show that had content, storylines, and things that were very different from most shows. Of course, there were already shows out there. There were already superhero team shows already. So that wasn't anything new. They've been doing that for years. But the Power Rangers came along and it just took everyone by surprise, by storm. Now, a lot of people didn't think too much of it at the time, of course. The free pilot trailers, and there were actually free trailer episodes that were recorded during the summer of 1993 AD. And Fox ran about 3 of these pilots. Now the one that would eventually get greenlighted to start the whole Power Ranger series would be The Day of the Dumpster. And Power Rangers did very well for itself. Merchandise sales were going out the roof at stores, VHSs as well. Ratings on the Fox network during that time were doing very well. And everybody couldn't stop talking, couldn't stop watching them. I do remember when the Green Ranger action figure by Bandai first came out. You could say it was Green Ranger, the big Green Ranger, not the small one where with the flip head, but the big one. When that first came out, I remember going to Kmart. Well, this was actually before, yeah, or maybe it was Heels. Then Heels got bought by Ames, but could have been any one of those two. And actually being a long line of people actually waiting for the new action figures to come in. Now, if you get a lot of people who wanted to buy them, then that was a big deal. So I remember that, of course. I mean, I wasn't there. Well, yeah, I was there. It was a big deal. The action figures sold very well, and the television show did very well. Of course, the free seasons, most people are always going to remember those. And then Mighty Morphin Power Rangers had a big fan base. And next thing you know, Rita Repulsa was causing trouble. Lord Zed came in. The show got a new boost, new popularity. Then the 3rd season, then the Power Rangers, I think that they were still popular, but then Zeo came along. Turbo was one of those seasons that many people felt that's it, the Power Rangers are getting canceled. Then In Space came along and it basically saved the Power Rangers. It was so successful. Siobhan normally wanted to end the Power Rangers after In Space, but it was so successful that they agreed to continue doing this show and adapt different Super Sentai series. And then came Lost Galaxy, and then came Lightspeed Rescue and Time Force, and then Power Rangers got bought by Disney, of course, and then Disney came along, and it went from the Fox Network to ABC Network, ABC Family, and Toon Disney, and then you had Wild Force and Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder and Space Patrol Delta and Mystic Force and Operation Overdrive and Jungle Fury and Ranger Power Engines. And everybody felt that Disney was, I don't think, and Disney basically ended up selling the Power Rangers back to Siobhan, and there was Samurai and Megaforce. Now, if you would have asked anyone, when the Power Rangers first came out, when Mighty Morphin first came out, did anybody actually think there was going to be 20 years of seasons? I mean, no one felt that, oh, it's going to be Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Turbo, and Space, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, Wild Force, Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, Space Patrol Delta, Mystic Force, Operation Overdrive, Jungle Fury, Ranger Power Engine, Samurai, and Megaforce. So no one actually didn't believe that it was going to last as long as it did. I don't really think, I mean, truly, I don't really think the Power Rangers, I didn't believe they'd be around for 20 years. I always felt, well, this is just my take, and I always had this fear, of course, it always happens, that the Power Rangers would get eventually canceled or sold off again to somebody else who may understand and may not have understood them. But I didn't think they were going to be around for 20 years. So it was a big deal for to be around for 20 years. Now, many people are going to say that's no big deal, and they're going to talk about other television series that been around for a long time and they got big support and stuff. And I think the Power Rangers somehow managed to stay around for 20 years of, I guess, luck. Something just happened to work for them. I mean, you could make an argument that Siobhan selling them to Disney and Disney eventually selling them back to Siobhan, you could argue that helped keep them around. And then next thing you know, they were on, and I forgot, next thing you know, they were on Nickelodeon Network and Nicktoons Network and CW. When Siobhan acquired them, of course. I mean, it was just a big deal to have them be around for 20 years. And I mean, nowadays, you know, their action figures are still pretty expensive. People still talk about them, of course, and people still have fond memories of them. Now, the Legend War, that's a big thing, because there's always been these anniversary things. The first time when Power Rangers had any type of anniversary, their 15th anniversary, introduced the Once a Ranger episode from Power Rangers Operation Overdrive, featuring Rangers from SPD and Ninja Storm and Dino Thunder and Mystic Force to be exact, and Mighty Morphin. And that was a big deal during that time. And then the video game Power Rangers Super Legends that came out to the Sony PlayStation and the Nintendo DS, that was a big deal, of course. But the Legend Wars and Power Rangers Megaforce is a big deal because all of the 20-year seasons, the 20 teams, I guess you could make an argument, a lot of them, either the actual people are coming back to play them, or it's going to be stock footage, or whatever the case might be. That's still a big deal. You know, to get, I can't wait to see how this Legend War plays out. Now, the Legend War, I guess, will probably be the last episodes of Megaforce. You know, that's probably going to be, maybe it's a cliffhanger, two-parter, three-parter, I really don't know. And what will the Power Rangers do when they become 30 years old? I mean, or 40 or 50. I mean, being 20 years old is a big deal for them. So imagine if this is how they're celebrating the 20th anniversary. Imagine how they're going to celebrate the other ones. Now, a lot of people will say that the Power Rangers did help, get other shows in the door. Now, a lot of people are going to say that the Power Rangers being around, or going to say that the Power Rangers being around for 20 years, they'll say it's a big deal. And it still, to me, is a big deal. I mean, I'm still surprised to this day that they're still action figures, and they're still on television, So to me, I never thought that would be around for 20 years. I just took it as, day one, day two, I didn't think that watching the first episode that I would be still watching them today. I didn't think that they would still be around come 20 years, You take a show that was on Fox, then went to the ABC and ABC Family and Toon Disney, and then eventually to Nickelodeon and Nicktoons and CW. You take a show that's been on multiple networks, had a change of ownership about 3 times, and a show that has been different incarnations over the years, and I didn't think that this show would be around for 20 years. I didn't think that it would be around for 20 years. And I don't think anyone at Siobhan during the first Siobhan era or the second Siobhan era or during the Disney era would think that it would be around for 20 years. Now, if anybody thinks that Siobhan and Disney would think that 20 years later the Power Rangers would still be around, I don't really think that would be the case with them. Okay. Now I'm going to kind of talk about something else when it comes to the Power Rangers, about some of the shows and that have been similar. Now, Deke Entertainment had one show called Voltron, Defender of the Universe. Then there was the tattooed teenage alien fighter from Beverly Hills. And those shows were similar. Of course, as I said, superhero shows were something that wasn't new. They're being done for years. But the way the Power Rangers did it, somehow, some way they came along and they made people, still talk about them this day. I mean, you don't see too many people talking about Deke's, tattooed teenage alien fighters from Beverly Hills. Even though I remember watching that show too. Okay, you don't really see too many now. To be fair, Power Rangers had many other shows. Like there was the VR Troopers or the Virtual Reality Troopers. There was Max Rider. There was Big Bad Beetleborgs. There was the Mystic Knights of Mulder Gog. There were, So all those shows, funny about how the Power Rangers survived, how they were still around. The original Siobhan show, at least the original Siobhan live action show. You could make an argument because Siobhan did do shows in the past that were animation, but to be the first Siobhan live action show to be around for 20 years is a big achievement in itself. So, that's it. I'm just very happy the Power Rangers have been around for 20 years, and I'm happy that this YouTube channel's been around. And it's been a very positive experience in the Power Rangers community on YouTube, and I've come across people who have the same love and, for the Power Rangers that I have. I can't mention you all by names, but I'm just going to say thank you for, welcoming me in. And I also just want to say, what's your take? Do you think 20 years ago, did you think that the Power Rangers would be around today? Do you think that it would have, been around and we'd still be talking about it? Because, to be honest with you, I didn't think it would be around for 20 years. You know, it surprises me it's still around. Okay, I'm not lying. I'm telling the truth. I'm still surprised that it's still around. Now, before I end this video, there might be some people who might say, "Oh, it's no big deal. We all knew the Power Rangers would be around for 20 years." Some people would say, "We all knew that it would either, stay with Disney or would go back to Siobhan." I mean, some people were, but here's another thing. Speaking about that, different people have different takes on the ownership, the first Siobhan era, the Disney era, and the second Siobhan era. And a lot of people were saying, "Oh, I knew that Disney would sell the Power Rangers back to Siobhan because, well, to tell you the truth, I really did not actually think that that would ever happen." Now, there's always going to be different takes on it. Now, before I end this video, there's different people out there on YouTube. If you talk to them, they'll have a different take. Some people will like the original Siobhan, first Siobhan, 1993 till 2001 AD, and that includes Mighty Morphin, Zeo, Turbo, and Space, Lost Galaxy, Lightspeed Rescue, and Time Force. And then there will be people who just like the Disney, era, the first Disney era, or the only Disney era, 2001 AD till 2010 AD. That includes Wild Force, Ninja Storm, Dino Thunder, Space Patrol Delta, Mystic Force, Operation Overjaw, Jungle Fury, and Ranger Power Engines. And then there will be those who currently like the new Siobhan era, 2010 to present, includes Samurai and Megaforce. Then you'll find people who like the first Siobhan era, like the Disney era, but hate the second Siobhan era. Or you'll find those who actually like the first Siobhan era, but hate the Disney era and hate the second Siobhan era. And I find that kind of ironic, because I like the Power Rangers and all their different incarnations, and their different ownerships take on it. Okay? And I'm very surprised they've been around for 20 years. I am very surprised. So, yeah. Now, a lot of people ask me, now there are going to be some people on YouTube, Daily Motion, before I end this video, who will say, "Oh, the Power Rangers, if it wasn't for Super Sentai, they wouldn't have been around." Well, you could make an argument if it wasn't for Toei leasing out Super Sentai footage and costumes and stuff, that Siobhan and Disney would have not been able to produce the Power Rangers. Well, they would have not been, they could have made their own costumes and they could have gotten their own footage. That is true. But to say that Super Sentai is responsible for Power Rangers being around for 20 years, I hardly doubt that. Because Power Rangers had its own marketing, had its own sponsors, own advertisers, their own television networks they were on, of course. They had they were independently owned. They were not owned by Toei. Either they're owned by Siobhan or Disney or Siobhan again. Toei only had really nothing to do with the Power Rangers' success. Maybe Toei and Super Sentai were responsible for helping them with costumes and stock footage. But Toei and Super Sentai cannot be held responsible for either being around for 20 years or the success that the Power Rangers in general have, or still have. That's about it. I'm Power Rangers Dedicated to Wayne. I'll see you later.